episode 86. And welcome into the Bench is Clear podcast, where we cover the best rivalry in all of sports. Yeah, I am Jesse Gutierrez, and I represent the side of the NL West Division champion San Francisco Giants.
And I'm Tyler Coe, and I represent the first National League wildcard seed Los Angeles Dodgers.
You made it seem like I had like a gun to your head and made you say that. That's what it sounded like.
Believe me, I've never had to say first seeded National League wildcard Los Angeles Dodgers. It's something very new and foreign to me, okay? And also, the Dodgers should have won the division. Should have won. There was the Darren Ruff check swing. There was the Sheldon Noise, he doesn't know how to stretch. Will Smith can't play first base. So many things went wrong. But that's okay because they're going to right the ship Wednesday at 5:10 p.m. when Max Scherzer beats the St. Louis Cardinals in the wild card game. Hopefully. If not, you're not going to see me for a long time.
I think we have to appreciate this season, dude. I really do, especially doing what we're doing. We weren't expecting this to happen so quick. And I mean, obviously I'm very happy that it happened, but no way did, especially if anyone would have said that the Dodgers were going to win 106 games, in no way would anyone think that anyone would beat that, but not let alone the Giants. And then, I mean, and not only that, but just, it was by one game. I mean, you think back to all the games that could have went wrong, obviously, which you just said. Mike Tauchman has saved 3 games just off the top of my head. I mean, he hit a grand slam. I mean, you could talk about the 2 robbing of the home runs. That's the first 2. But of course, he hit a big grand slam in Texas that was not looking very good for us. And
yeah, what was that? One of his like 12 hits on the entire season.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So now, do you understand the luckiest team in baseball moniker? I mean, Jesus Christ!
Hitting a home run's not lucky. Okay, it's called Manager of the Year, Gabe Kapler. Punching in the right, playing the right notes is the.
How long until Farhan's banned from baseball for coming up with whatever cheating scam he's come up with? A couple years? 2 years? Probably 2.
I loved
2 years until they figured it out.
In the champagne, fucking just getting sprayed, hugging player. Andrew Freeman would never do some shit like that.
Yeah, Andrew Fleeceman is a professional. Yeah. Do you know what the Dodgers did after?
That's why Farhan's a G.
After they won, after they swept the Brewers and ended the season finished the season 6-0. You know what they did? Nothing. Because a wild card is nothing to celebrate for this team because they're better than that. So they'll wait. They'll wait, and it'll be glorious.
How crazy would it be if they get knocked out and they're not able to celebrate at all?
Oh, gosh. How crazy is it going to be? I'm going to be on a 5150 suicide watch if that happens. So let's hope that for my benefit, let's hope that doesn't happen. But think about this. If the Dodgers would have won one more game, right, and forced out game 163, the Dodgers and the Giants would have both set franchise win records, and one of them wouldn't have won the division.
Right.
That's fucking insane. We may never see anything like this ever again.
Yep.
And so that's the thing that really chaps my ass about the wild card is, dude, the Dodgers and Giant fans both deserve to finally play each other in the NLDS when they were that close all season, and they're both arguably the best they've ever been.
Right.
So there's so much riding on Wednesday outside of just, World Series hopes and dreams and all that crap. Yeah, dude, this could be the most fun. If the Dodgers and Giants play, it could be the most fun series of baseball any of us have ever seen.
Right. Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, it worries me, but at the same time, it's not like if it was the Padres and Dodgers, the I guess the podcaster in me would be like, oh, we need the Dodgers to win. We need to do this, and it would be so great and something that you would want to look back on for a long time. But the just solely, I really want the best chances to win fan in me would be like, dude, I want the Padres to win. But at the same time, I don't want to get too far into it because we have a great Cardinals guest that's going to give us a lot of insight on exactly where they're at and how they're feeling. But it's not a slam dunk who you would rather play, just because the Giants don't play the Cardinals well because of who's in that fucking lineup, who we've talked about a couple times. Just like, we asked you guys on Twitter, who do you want to play in the NLDS? And 76% said the Dodgers. I think a lot of it has to do with just wanting to, maybe it was a lot of Dodger fans too saying obviously want to be there, but I think it's also you're more familiar with them. The Cardinals have done nothing but dominated you this year. I know the playoffs are different, but that's a conversation, is all I'm saying.
It's just like you were saying, I also think it's more of not necessarily that you feel you have a better chance to beat the Dodgers. It's if you want to have the bragging rights of franchise record wins to win the division, won the series season against the Dodgers, and just so happened you beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. Just like the Dodgers want to go through the Giants. Mm-hmm. We've never had this before. We've been waiting our whole goddamn lives for this. So if the Dodgers blow it...
We almost had it in 2016. We almost had it in 2014. And I was low-key rooting for it. But, and of course we almost had it in 2020. And I was really rooting for it because it was like, there's nothing to lose. If we get swept by the Dodgers, who cares? But
dude, the closest thing we've ever had to this was when Steve Finley hit that grand slam in 2004 to win the division. That's like the closest thing.
That's all I've heard about this week. Is just that fucking Steve, like, gosh, I don't even know what to do with it, but I do want to give some love. I do want to give some love. And not only that, what happened on October 3rd, which is also like the 70th anniversary of Bobby Thompson's shot heard around the world. I've heard more about Steve Finley's home run than Bobby Thompson's in that span. So I do want to mention, like, a 70th anniversary, and it's clinching the division, Dodgers Giants. You got to mention it, baby. We weren't even thoughts, but we were always thoughts, but we weren't thoughts, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, just talk about your shitty cheating manager and let's get on with it.
So salty. I do want to mention really quick my guy Camilo Doval. NL pitcher reliever of the month. Gosh, 0 ERA, fucking just dominating 14 innings, just 102 on the gun. This guy, I feel like we're getting our guy because he's 22 years old. I feel like he's a dude that's going to be a closer for the next 10, 15 years. And he's going to be the guy that's going to have to be pushed out, and it's going to be sad when he goes. Like, I know you're not supposed to put that on somebody, but his stuff and his command right now of his stuff, it's like night and day from when we saw him earlier this year. So I'm just really excited for him. And it just goes all to the best bullpen in baseball. This bullpen has put on a lot this year. We talk about how they won the division just by one game. This is a bullpen that was just like the Dodgers, was going every round, doing bullpen games twice for, rotation round. I'm not sure what you would describe that as, rotation round. You get what I'm saying. And just the way that starters picked up the slack. That was when Webb was on his dominant streak. His, Gosman started picking it up again, and they were going deep into games. Disco was going deep into games, so they were saving the bullpens for those two bullpen games. None of if that doesn't happen, then they don't win this division. It was so fucking close. Best bullpen ERA at 2.99, most saves, best WHIP, least amount of walks given up. It's just, this bullpen has completely carried this team, and gosh.
And Duvall's going to get lit the fuck up in the DS.
Oh,
and Tyler Rogers and Jake McGee. Jake McGee is going to unceremoniously.
That's what I'm posting. That's what I'm posting.
Okay.
Duvall's going to get lit up. 102 on the corner. Sweeping slider and seeing freaking Chris Taylor just swinging and missing it by 2 feet.
I doubt it.
I can't wait.
Are you done with your little stupid awards?
I can give a million more awards, honestly. We got to see another Buster hug. It's been a long time since we've seen that. Fuck. We could go all day, all fucking day. One thing I do really quick, last thing I want to say about the Giants, and we could get onto, the wild card series. One thing I do want to say is if the Giants didn't have the season they did, right? If they even had a great season and gotten the second wild card and they won 90 games, the coverage about the Dodgers would be completely different. If they won 106 games, all the stuff that was written about them at the beginning of the season about how they were supposed to be, possibly the best team ever assembled, it just would have been confirmed. So it's crazy how things change based on what other teams do, if that makes sense. Like the Dodgers still had a great, I like honestly what Dave Roberts was saying. First of all, that the Giants took the division from them. They had to, it's not, and also that the Dodgers didn't have a failure of a season, and no, anyone that criticizes 100+ win team has never played baseball on a really high level. I think it was the quote he said. And that's true. I think there's a lot of Dodger fans that are spoiled and are just expecting, a division win like it's nothing, and don't appreciate what it takes to do it because it just became so easy. So I think that's a really special story to the season. And
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
It's like I said last episode when I think we had only 103 wins. There's no such thing as a failure of a 106 win team. That's
Right.
fucking impossible.
Right.
And it's so unlikely that a team wins 106 and loses the division. Like it just doesn't happen.
It's never happened.
Exactly. It has now happened once. So
right. The closest I think is the Giants missing, not even getting a wild card game, missing the playoffs when they won 103 games to the Braves. So, and even then, that's 103 wins, not 106.
Yeah, and that was when the alignment and everything was so different. The playoff format, how you get in,
and it's going to change next year. So we're never going to have this ever again either.
I don't know if it's going to change.
I mean, we don't know for sure, but it's just CBA, and that's what they want. I put my money that it's going to change, and we're going to go to the expanded playoffs next year, guaranteed. Lock it in.
I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing a 3-game series in a wild card as opposed to.
That's what it is. That's what it's going to be, and then the one seed's going to have the bye.
Well, but I'm saying. Yeah, but that's so dumb.
It is dumb.
Let's not get into it. Because it's going to be
season. We have a lot of off season to talk to in a month and a half.
Let's not go through that rabbit hole. Let's jump into some Dodger Cardinals baseball. Let's do that.
Let's do that. We got a great guest coming on to talk some Cardinals baseball. So without further ado. And now I'd like to welcome into the Benches Cleared podcast, friend Jeff Jones, beat writer for the Belleville News Democrat. Jeff, how's it going?
Not bad, man. Just got to LA in the middle of a lightning storm, which is a fun experience for literally LA. That's a little bit of a change, but otherwise pretty good.
Yeah, you're lucky. This is like a once in a year experience, and you just happen to fly in.
I'm told that I should be like looking out my window to watch this thing happening over the mountains, but I've seen lightning. I live in the Midwest. This is not new to me, so I don't really need to take time out of my evening to watch a rainstorm.
No, yeah, it's crazy for us, but we really appreciate you coming on and giving us insight on the Cardinals because like we talked about before we got on, we watch the Cardinals when they play our teams, but to watch them day in and day out, you obviously have a lot more insight than we do. So yeah, I mean, this is something that's can be really beneficial to us.
No, happy to be here. I got to get my head focused into baseball mode again. I had as much as almost one full day off, so now I got to dial it back in.
I'm glad you're happy to be here because I'm miserable to be here right now. This is not the way that I expected the Dodger seasons to go. I didn't expect to be in a wild card game. In a one playoff game, I feel miserable. I'm nervous. I feel sick to my stomach.
Miserable, San Diego.
Yeah, but
I mean, in the opposite way, at this point, it almost seems, especially if you look like 2 months ago, it looked like the Cardinals were going to be out, and it was a long shot that they were going to make it. They got back into it, not even getting that hot. Just the Padres and Reds weren't really doing too much, but then they went on a historic run. Is there something that maybe like changed? They, got a hold of the Mike Secret stuff or something, or what was going on during, right before and during that time?
Yeah, when you talk to these guys, the win streak is one thing, and it was impressive. I mean, literally, it was literally historic. They'd never done it before in franchise history, wasn't that long. But what they've pointed to is actually the series against the Dodgers early in September, where they split it up, splitting a 4-game set at Busch Stadium, dropped the first two, and didn't look great in those first 2 games. Kind of looked like a team that maybe was tapped out. Season was trending toward the over direction. And then came back, won the last 2 games of that series, lost a game to, I believe, to Cincinnati in the next series, but then ripped off 17 in a row. And so competing with the Dodgers in that series and sort of showing up for it and getting a split was a point where I think maybe was proof of concept to them a little bit that if they actually did manage to pull off some kind of run, they'd have a shot and they could be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it was really pleasing, especially for us to see. I mean, honestly, now I'm actually really bummed just because I'm a lot more worried about the Cardinals versus the Padres. But at the beginning of the season, MLB was like really pushing this great rivalry of the Padres and Dodgers and how it was supposed to be, the best thing. And just being around, I guess, just being on Twitter, seeing how smug and crazy Padres fans and Twitter was, especially not having much success at all. So it was nice to see that the Padres got knocked out, especially when they did. But at the same time, now we have to worry about, a rotation of Wainwright and Kim versus, the struggling Darvish.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Padres is that I was at Petco Park for the wild card series last year, and as far as I'm aware, that's the only time I've ever been in the building and have seen with my own 2 eyes the moment that a video game cover was made. But that felt like the moment that the Padres arrived. Like that Tatis home run off Gallegos that blew that game open, put that series out of reach, felt like the moment that the Padres were gonna be here and get after it. And now all of a sudden, the Padres are a team that is probably going to fire its manager and its whole coaching staff. And by the time this goes up, maybe they will have, who knows? And a team that looks lost, and a team that, in dugout at Busch Stadium, they downplayed it all they want, but a team that had its 2 most important players screaming at each other in the middle of what was then a pennant race. And so that's a bad trend, certainly. And I think I read, and not to rub this in, but am I correct that in the Padres' last 22 games of the season, they went 4-18, and all 4 were against the Giants? I believe that's what happened down the stretch. That's a pretty crazy stretch. And as somebody who was trying to put my travel plans into concrete for this wild card game, did not love that Saturday outcome. Was looking for a little more fight out of our Giants on that Saturday night.
Yeah, right. Oh man, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It is. I mean, it sucks because I mean, if you look at it, especially when you go to the Padres and even before with the Mets, where it was Dodgers Giants, then Dodgers Giants, like back to back. I'm sure MLB when they wrote that schedule, they didn't realize how much of a gauntlet that would be.
Right.
But I mean, now it just looked cruel and kind of just sad to see any team go through that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the way the schedule was written, it was written basically to fend off COVID outbreaks, right? It was written in such a way where you would play teams in big chunks. So if you had to shift games around and have double headers, that would be easier to do. And for the Padres, that did not turn out great for them. For the Cardinals, it meant their last 4 series of the season was 2 against a Brewers team that was checked out, had nothing to play for, and 2 against a Cubs team that was just awful down the stretch. And so they got to sort of maintain, stay hot, get hot, and drag that winning streak out.
Right. And I mean, to now get into the reason that we're all here, the wild card game. I mean, it's Wainwright versus Scherzer. I mean, Wainwright dominated the Dodgers last time they faced, but I mean, the Cardinals don't exactly have a great track record against Scherzer.
No.
But then again, not a lot of teams do. So, what do you think is? I mean, because anyone looking at that would say, the Dodgers have the leg up, Scherzer, but there has to be some sort of argument for, Wainwright to get in there, especially because he dominated the Dodgers. What from your end, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think that so the comparison that people have been drawing, there's a game that kind of lives in Cardinals lore. The fifth game of the division series in 2011, so 10 years ago, was a similar sort of deal in that it was a winner go home, and it was Chris Carpenter versus Roy Halladay in Game 5 of the division series, and the Cardinals led off that game in Philly, in Philly against Halladay with a triple and an RBI single. And then that was the only run that scored for the rest of the game. The first hitter of the game scored, and no one else did. And it was a 1-0 game that the Cardinals ended up winning behind a Chris Carpenter complete. Actually, he might have left in the ninth, but they won behind Chris Carpenter against Halladay to win that Game 5. And I think that, from a Cardinals perspective, if you're looking for what the most likely scenario is to win that game, it's probably about like that. It's Edman and or Goldschmidt get a single, you're the walk in front of Tyler O'Neill, who hits a homer, and it's 2-0 in the first, and then the Cardinals just try to hang on. And is that the most likely outcome? No, it's Max Scherzer. It's hard to score against him, but that I think is what maybe you're looking for if you're a Cardinal fan. Is they jump on Scherzer early and they're able to just hang on behind Wainwright and get to the finish line.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, for the Dodgers, it's going to be the same exact thing. If you look back to when we played the Cardinals a month ago or so, we jumped on Wainwright early for one, and then we sprinkled in another one, and then we got two in the ninth inning, and then he left. But I mean, he was dominant. He pitched really well all game, so it's going to be important. And the downside is Dodgers had 7 hits against Wainwright. 2 of those came from a one Max Muncy, who will not be playing, and that's going to leave a huge hole in the Dodgers lineup. And I think it's not necessarily something I'm incredibly worried about offensively, because Matt Beatty, I think, will get the start, being the lefty, because he's been swinging a hot bat. I'm really worried about defensively at first base, because the Dodgers saw what happened when you put in someone like Will Smith at first base. You lose a game because of it. That's kind of my biggest concern, because runs are going to be hard to come by. And just like we said, 1 run, 2 run, that might be it. So that potentially happening on an error, not being able to stretch for a ball, not being able to scoop, because my personal opinion is Max Muncy has the best glove at first base, at least in the National League. But I think it's going to be the same for both teams. You got to jump on these guys early. And if you look at it, Scherzer was dominant against the Cardinals in his only start against them this year. 13 strikeouts, I think went 8 innings, 1 earned. So hopefully he can reproduce that, but I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. Couple runs is going to do it, and it's just going to be a tight game.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to look at the Scherzer numbers in particular, because like take Goldschmidt, for example. I believe, this is off the top of my head without double checking, but I believe Goldschmidt was something along the lines of 1 for 18, 1 for 19 against Scherzer in his career, heading into that most recent matchup, but then doubled twice against him in that game. Arenado's numbers are not great against Scherzer in his career. And yet, as a franchise, I think Scherzer has won, if I'm correct about this, 3 of his last 7 starts against the Cardinals. There's been a weird stretch where the Cardinals have had some success as a franchise against them. And, in talking to Mike Hilt about this on Sunday briefly, part of what he mentioned is because of the strangeness of the spring training schedule this year, the Cardinals have actually faced Max Scherzer 5 times this season already. They saw him 3 times in spring. They saw him with Washington, and they saw him with the Dodgers, a couple of weeks ago. And so, look, I don't know that you can ever be prepared to face Max Scherzer, especially in a postseason game. But as much as anybody can be, the Cardinals are certainly familiar. They definitely have veteran hitters who have seen him a lot. And so, if nothing else, maybe they're not going to be caught as off balance as maybe other folks would be. But then again, with a 5:15 start, Lord knows what the shadows are going to look like. And so nobody's going to score the 6 innings of that game anyway.
Yeah. The shadow shouldn't be too bad. It should only be for about maybe an hour. But I mean, that's going to be a good 3 innings.
You're right. Yeah, that's 3 or 4 innings with those 2
guys.
I mean,
I would prefer shadows in the beginning of a game than an end, though. Because if you're down by 2 and then say if it's a day game, then it gets a little bit later and the shadows come later, it's well, what the fuck's going to happen? There's no way of coming back from that.
For sure. Yeah, and I do that's. I've not actually ever asked anybody that, but I do wonder about that. What the preference for that would be.
Right.
Which brings me to a point that I wanted to bring up just to throw this in there. The last time I saw the Dodgers and the Cardinals play in the playoffs, when I was at the game, was I believe it was game 2. Geez, it must have been 2000. 9
Okay.
NLDS.
So this is the Matt Holliday game.
This is when Matt Holliday dropped that fly ball, and then I believe it was Mark Loretta hit a walk-off single into center. So I'm just trying to, channel that into this game because, frankly, I'm very worried. But if you rewind last year when we were talking the Brewers wild card series, I was a nervous wreck, like, oh, the Brewers are going to do it. The Dodgers, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off. So I'm constantly just thinking the Dodgers are going to blow it somehow.
You know what?
So I'm really trying to channel that Matt Holliday, drop ball, blame it on the rally towels, blending in with the ball energy.
Well, yeah, you mentioned Holiday, but look, last year Trent Grisham happened, right? So it does seem to break that way for the Dodgers from time to time. But it's funny. It's funny to mention Holiday. Like, all due respect to Matt Holliday, who is a Cardinal legend, who people love in St. Louis very much. There's not a single defender in the Cardinals lineup who is nearly as weak a defender as Matt Holliday was.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the thing that they do well, is that for all of the things that, look, the bats got hot during that win streak, that the starters were great. They did not make mistakes ever. And in fact, the only one really dramatic, glaring defensive mistake I can think of, they got bailed out in the strangest way when Edmundo Sosa in New York let loose a throw to first base. It hit the first base umpire in the side of the head, which I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
But hit the first base umpire on the side of the head and landed in clear territory, and didn't even get an extra base out of it. So that was the kind of the luck they had, but also the kind of defense they had over that stretch and the kind of defense they're capable of playing.
So with this being a one-game playoff, we all know it's going to be intense. What do you think is the advantage the Cardinals have over the Dodgers? What part of their game is going to be the advantage?
That's an interesting question. I think if there's one advantage the Cardinals have over the Dodgers, it is that there's zero pressure. They weren't supposed to be here. They weren't supposed to be in this game. They were not supposed to be a postseason team. The Dodgers won 106 games and are playing a do-or-die game at home. And are the defending World Series champions and have all of the things that come with that. If the Cardinals win Wednesday, whatever day the game is, whatever, Cardinals win the game. It's for them, that's gravy. Not to say that they would be satisfied with that, because you talk to them and of course not. They say we were going to win a championship. And, it was Schilt the other day mentioned that the Cardinals were feeling like, well, if they're going to go where they want to go, then they have to go through, and they want to go through the team that won it last year, was the thing that Schultz said. So, yeah, they want to win a championship, and yes, they believe they can, or they're saying they believe that they can. But realistically, given the way this season played out and where the expectations are, if the Dodgers don't win that game on Wednesday, it's going to be viewed as a failure of the Dodgers, I think, no matter what happens, right? And so the Cardinals just don't have that weight to carry. They can just go play ball and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a great point, because Jesse knows that feeling of no pressure, because knowing they weren't supposed to be here at all.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's a big disadvantage for the Dodgers, but I think they like the pressure. I think they're going to live up to it, and I think the advantage might be for the Dodgers, their top 3 hitters, because if you look at the game against Wainwright a month ago, those were the only guys who the 7 hits were between 4 guys.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about it. One of those guys is going to be gone, but Trey Turner swinging a hot bat, Corey Seager swinging a hot bat. So hopefully jumping on Wainwright early for 2 runs in the first inning, hopefully that might be enough.
Well,
and Scherzer can just shut it down.
And even if it's not, I'll tell you this: your stone cold lock of the evening is that Tio Albert is going to have a moment. It's a guarantee that Albert Pujols
I sure hope so.
Something on Wednesday night in that boat. Now, maybe it's a bad moment, maybe it breaks for the Cardinals, but there is going to be a moment in that game that's going to involve Albert Pujols late. No matter, there's just no way it's not going to happen.
Baseball gods wouldn't let it not happen.
Yeah, I only envision him pinch hitting. I don't think he's going to get the start against Waino, but he did get the start at first base against Wainwright. Max Muncy was playing third base that day, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Pujols went 0 for 3. So
I think that was more for sentimental value. They were let's just do it.
Yeah, right. Well, now
they're not going to play that shit.
Sentimental value be damned. We need to win this game. So
but Albert's going to get an at bat in the 7th, 8th inning against TJ McFarland, that's going to be important. That's going to happen in that game.
Yeah, I feel terrible. My stomach's already eating itself. Can't sleep already. It's gonna be tough.
This is your first wild card game to suffer through, Tyler, right? Yeah, definitely it is. Wild card game.
Maybe it would have to be.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this. I don't think Cardinals haven't done a wild card game yet, have they?
Been one. So in 2012, the Cardinals played Atlanta in the wild card game.
They were the first ones.
It was the very first one.
That's correct, and that was the
infield fly that wasn't in the
infield fly rule.
And Matt Holliday again. It was a fly ball between the two of them that was called an infield fly that was maybe not in the infield, but that Cardinals ended up winning.
And then they knocked out the Dodgers.
This is going to be my first one gamer, which again I've always maintained I hate and I think is terrible. So, well, we'll see.
We did all right with it. One thing I definitely wanted to talk to you about, because obviously there's a chance if you do win the wild card game, you're going to be playing the Giants. I mean, obviously,
it's not a chance; it's a certainty if they win the wild card.
Would happen if they did win.
Well, what I'm saying is there's a chance that they win and then they play. Yeah. I was backwards. We all know what's going on here. Okay, we're here. So I mean, because the starting pitching isn't exactly scary. I mean, the bullpen's not exactly a top-rated bullpen, but for my side, it doesn't matter if, like I've said this a couple times, doesn't matter if me or Tyler were pitching, the Cardinals will still scare the shit out of me just because Goldschmidt and Arenado are in that lineup, and doesn't matter if they're super cold. Doesn't matter. Right when they get into Oracle Park, they just drop dick and go crazy. So yeah, so they completely own the Giants. So is there someone else that you think might be like someone that's not talking about that could have a that you might have a feeling that could have a really good wild card game and potentially a good NLDS?
So I'll put two names. I mean, the first, it's hard to say nobody's talking about him because he just won National League Player of the Month. But Tyler O'Neill has been just unbelievable for the last month. Has looked like a superstar in every possible, every possible. Speaking of the word,
toughest dude I've ever seen play baseball. That's not a
pretty ripped. But the thing that he's been put in this position now where with Goldschmidt hitting second and Arenado hitting fourth, he can just wait for balls in the zone because, to get on base either behind Goldschmidt or in front of Arenado works out pretty well for them for most of the time. So I think that he's become a dangerous hitter who his K rate is still super high, but his chase rate is way down because he's making guys come into the zone. The second one, maybe if you're looking for a little bit of a deeper cut, I think the answer probably is Edmundo Sosa, who really brought in a spark, really brought in a lot of life to this team. Right around in the middle of the season when he ended up taking over for Paul DeYoung. DeYoung broke a rib. Sosa got a chance to get a run at it and looked like a really good shortstop. And Sosa's coming off. He got hit by a pitch kind of on the base of his right hand the second to last weekend of the season at Wrigley, and has made one start at short since. I would expect him to start at short in the wild card game and to hold that position should they play in the DS. And Sosa's the kind of guy who could very easily come up with just a big double to the gap in a runner's on situation that blows the game open. But he's also the kind of guy who might airmail a routine throw from shortstop.
I mean, Sosa had a really good series against the Giants, and I mean, honestly, Cardinals won both series against the Giants when they played them. So it's. I mean, you want to say that, obviously the Dodgers are a better team, but if you're looking from my point of view, especially with Muncy being out and Muncy being a giant killer, it's kind of a toss up who you'd rather face in the division series.
I just want to go with my prediction. I think the Dodgers are going to be able to put up about 5 runs.
Okay.
And I think they're going to hold the Cardinals to 3 or less. Kenley's going to come in, slam the door. It might be a little rocky, but I think he gets it done, and I think the Dodgers move on to face the evil empire San Francisco Giants.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna have a prediction that neither of you guys is gonna like, and let me tell you how I just prediction. My least favorite ballpark in the league is in Atlanta. It's like a weird mall of a ballpark. Don't like it. Not a fan. Did not go on the Atlanta trip this year because I don't like the park. I don't want to go there, so I took that weekend off. So, yeah. and got too excited, talked too much shit about how happy I was and not have to go to Atlanta. So I will tell you, the Cardinals are going to play Atlanta in the NLCS, and I'm going to have to go to Atlanta because I got too excited about not going to Truist Park. So just to make you happy, somehow Cardinals and Atlanta are playing in the NLCS.
I'm just saying, and Jesse's going to be mad that I said this. Last year for the season start, I said Dodgers are going to win the World Series in 6 games against the Rays. I was right. This year I said they're going to play the Braves again in the NLCS and win in 6. So hopefully it goes my way. Hopefully I look like a genius again. Lightning can strike twice. You never know.
It's striking all night.
I was just saying, we literally found that out tonight.
Tonight. Your guys' hope is so cute. But Jeff, we do appreciate you coming on, man. Real quick before you go, because this is only the second time we've had a member of the Baseball Writers Association. Throwback to when our guy Adam from we did a little series preview last year with the Brewers. Do you have any quick MVP or Cy Young votes that you want to reveal?
So I can give thoughts on this because I was a Manager of the Year voter this year, so I can expound plenty on the rest. And then, granted, I didn't have those ballots, so I did not do the work one would need to do to actually come up with a good answer here. But I think it's Juan Soto, and I think it's Scherzer. I would have to. I don't know. I'd have to cut the quick. I will say. Right. The fact that Corbin Burns threw 50 fewer innings than the other top candidates to me,
that's huge.
That to me would matter if I had a Cy Young ballot this year. Right. But I didn't. I had a Manager of the Year ballot. So yeah, I don't know. Soto and Scherzer.
Right. And we all know you didn't pick Gabe Kapler. So let's just move on from that.
Let's be real.
I know you can't say anything about it, but no one in their right mind would pick Gabe Kapler. I also think
the slam dunk choice. Right.
Just real quick, I feel like it's bizarre that Trey Turner is not involved in the MVP talk really all that much. And he put up insane numbers. I agree with you. I think Juan Soto
he'll get top 5. Him and Brandon Crawford will probably get some top 5 votes.
Yeah, I think you give it to Juan Soto. I know there's always that, the team wasn't that good kind of crap, but Juan Soto had the best year.
To me, none of that. Maybe that can be a separator, but none of the top candidates in the NL to me were on playoff teams. So what does it matter, right? If it's Soto, if it's Bryce Harper, if it's Tatis, all those guys.
That shouldn't even come into play. This isn't basketball. One person can't dominate the league. It's if someone's good at the plate, it has zero to do. Well, not zero, but very minimal to do with what your pitcher does and what your bullpen does. And, so I feel like you can't even look at that when it comes to baseball. So
yeah, it's entirely fair. But like I said, I will say, as a person who was I had a Rookie of the Year ballot last year, and I was one of, I think, the 2 people who had Tony Gonsolin third on my ballot. So if that gives me Dodgers cred, I did slap Tony Gonsolin on there last year.
Yeah, take it where you could get it.
Yeah, and if you could help us out and figure out how the Giants cheated this year, if you want to be the one to break that story, that'd be much appreciated because we all know it was something. And by God, I will figure it out.
Look, man,
maybe on another
episode. Good looks.
I cover
the Manager of the Year's good looks.
Old guys can make it happen. I watch a lot of Cardinal baseball.
And we all hate Gabe Kapler. Perfect.
You're just freaking jelly, dude. You're always jelly of like the popular kid in school. You know what I mean? That's what this is. But nonetheless, we could talk about Gabe Kapler's looks all day, or at least I can. So, Jeff, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate your insight. You guys can follow him at Twitter at JMJones. Thanks again, Jeff. And, hopefully we'll be seeing you around sometime soon.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much.
So we know my prediction. 5-3 Dodgers. That's what I'm saying. But most importantly, for this game and throughout the postseason, this one is going to be for Max Muncy. It's going to be for Clayton Kershaw. Brandon Belt be damned. The captain, he's sinking. The ship is sinking. The captain's going down with his ship. This one's for Muncy. It's for Kershaw. And it's to spite Jace Peterson because he's a bitch. And
that was more Will Smith's fault than Jace Peterson. Jace Peterson was trying to get out
Peterson
of the way.
is a
he
bitch.
Went like this. He said,
I know. Can you let me be upset Can you let me be irrational for 1 second, you fucking moron?
I should.
The Dodgers are going to do this for Mad Max. They're going to do it for Clayton. And they're going to repeat, or else I'm going to have to wear a goddamn Giants hat to a Dodger Giant game next year. And that is unacceptable. So Max, Clayton, if you're watching, take what I said and relay it to the team and rile them up.
You know they're watching.
Because if we don't win it, I'm going to be real upset. Go Dodgers, 5-3.
Okay. Well, I think I agree with you. I think that the Dodgers are going to pull it off. I think we're going to get the series that we all want and deserve. And I think that my man Logan Webb is going to take Julio Urias deep. That's on a whole nother episode.
Okay.
That's on a whole nother episode from more
fucking
predictions.
Relax.
But I'm gonna let you finish. But Logan Webb had one of the most historic games in franchise history of all time. Okay, shut down the Padres. Went 2 for 2 with a bomb, a walk, just
against a literal nobody.
Shohei, who?
Who?
Shohei?
Can you name
Webb,
who
bitch.
started for the Padres? Can you name him? Name him.
Huh?
Exactly. A literal nobody. A fucking
obviously, I
dude
looked it
who's
up when
made
he would happen,
like
but I
7
forgot at this
appearances and has been optioned like 5 times throughout the season.
Let's not even talk
Okay,
about Corbin
let's
Burns
relax.
pitching 2 innings.
Let's
not
fucking
even
relax.
Talk about Corbin Burns pitching for 2 innings. Calm down, okay? Bullshit.
I'm not the one up here saying the Dodgers had a historic night against Corbin Burns, who pitched 2 innings. Let's relax. Logan
saying.
Webb, a bitch. Kevin Gausman, a bitch.
Yes,
I watch my sacrifice fly every night because it makes me happy. Fuck you. Fuck Logan
what has
Webb.
Max Scherzer done?
Fuck the
What
Giants.
gave himself a black eye for trying to bunt.
And he has a World Series ring and is going for 2 and has 3 Cy Youngs. But Logan Webb's on the same playing field, right?
Let's
relax.
Talk about all the hardware that's in that locker room. Chill. You're talking about Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, fucking Buster Posey, MVPs, fucking Silver Sluggers for days, Gold Gloves for days. Oh, and how about a bunch of rings? So calm down.
The Giants or the Dodgers have a stable of dudes who all have World Series rings now. So fucking relax. Okay, Kevin Gausman's done one good thing in his career, and it was hit a little fucking loopy fly ball into right field. It's his only career accomplishment.
Having a career year after 30, so calm down.
Only accomplishment. Logan Webb, it's all downhill. This is going to be his only thing. Yeah, Darren Dreifert could hit for the Dodgers for a little bit, and then he fell off the map. It's the same shit. Let's call the episode before I start losing my fucking mind.
So many bad takes that we're going to come to.
Kevin Gausman, bitch. Logan Webb, bitch. The whole city of San Francisco, bitch.
Dig your grave.
This episode is brought to you by Renovation Candle Company, who ships to San Francisco, to San Fran, to Frisco, whatever you want to call it. Go get yourself some candles. Dodgers 5-3. Let's go.
Championship City.
If not, there's not going to be an episode with me appearing for quite some time.
Oh no, you're going to be here. If I have to,
to
that chair, you will be here. Yes, buy some renovation candles. Stay tuned. I mean, Giants fans, just watch the game. Watch the games, relax, kick your feet up. Because
don't even watch the game. Just go watch Kevin Gausman's sack fly. Because that was the best thing that happened all season.
That's what you do to pregame, baby. Yeah, so we will see you on Friday. We're probably going to be doing some stuff, definitely keeping up with what's going on here. We'll keep you posted, updated with what we're going to be doing. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform to keep hearing us talking shit to each other. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure to hit the likes, the subscribes, all that kind of stuff. Thank you so much for helping us grow so much this year. Follow us on Instagram, Benches Cleared Podcast, Twitter, Benches Cleared P, and TikTok, Benches Cleared. We will see you at the end of the week next week, and we will know who won the wild card game.
And the Dodgers will see the Giants in the NLDS.
I would love that.